Welcome, no question about that. This is a tactics show. I'm Ed, today with Dharnish. How's it going, Dharnish?
Good. Yeah.
All right. And Daniel.
Hello.
Very good. Your T-shirt says love. Love what? What's the bottom half of that denominator? Love is in the air.
I got it. It was what I got in the pub. It was to do with some beer they were selling at the time.
You bought a T-shirt in the pub?
I didn't buy it. It
Merch,
was
giveaway.
You're one of those people who buys T-shirts in the pub.
That's where I do my shopping and my groceries.
Every single pub, or in fact, there are breweries around here, does merch. I'm like, who buys this stuff? So, but yeah. All right, today we are talking about United nil, City nil. So we're going to talk a little bit about how United attacked this game, because some of that was interesting. Talk a little bit about Casimiro's role, why City are crap these days, and look ahead to Lyon on Thursday night and Paulo Fonseca and what he might come up with. All right. I mean, I don't know. I suggested the United attacking patterns because it seemed to me that there's an evolution there, and they were actually producing some nice stuff. Did I make that up? Are there any differences here? Dharnish, thoughts on United's attacking play in a 0-0 draw?
There's been a lot of discourse after this game, and I knew this would happen because we've got 7 game weeks, and the top's done, the bottom's done. There's no jeopardy anywhere. So, like, just for anybody who's watching this or listening, for the next 7 weeks, this is the discourse that we're going to have. I saw this coming from a mile off, just because the top's done and the bottom's done. So we're going to get like driven in this direction a lot and driven in this direction. The point that I would focus on is that it's interesting to me that he has finally just gone against the bigger teams, and we might see this against Newcastle, I don't know. Against the biggest teams, he has just gone, I can't play the Amorim ball with this. I can't do the whole wait for them to get better at my system. I'm just going to have to make them stay compact counter, because we're actually all right at that as well. Funnily enough, Højlund was actually making the ball stick a few more times than he has in the previous game. So I thought that was good.
So the United had 38% possession or something like that against City. So this is what we mean, right? United played in the secure manner and were willing to play on transition when they had the opportunities, and they've done that against Arsenal recently and City today and Liverpool away and City away and so on. And I don't know, do you guys feel like it's Amorim giving up on his principles a bit in the way that Ten Hag did, or is he just being pragmatic to get through this season?
I think the latter. I think he's just being pragmatic to get through the season, but also just because against the bigger teams, he kind of knows that it works. There's nothing wrong with doing that either. And he still has 4 or 5 players out.
Yeah. I mean, Daniel's thought on how United... Yeah.
I think that this wasn't quite the same as the Arsenal game, I don't think. Where the Arsenal game, both the Arsenal games, the Cup game and this one, they really did just sort of sit in mainly. I felt like this one, they were kind of trying to push the issue a little bit more and trying to express themselves a little bit more. Still, you want to see more risk-taking, more experimentation, more... And I think there was something in what Gary Neville was saying, that you just have players playing these systems, and rather than the kind of the game state, and I don't mean what score it is, I mean where everyone is on the pitch at that precise moment becomes the thing that decides what you do. The system sort of becomes the thing that decides what you do. And I think in the end, that won't be the plan, but while they're learning it, they just sort of feel like improvisation always just defers to the system.
Well, yeah, he talks about principles. So there's things he's trying to instill into the team in each phase of play that matter. And in this one, being defensively secure with 5 at the back and 2 sitting in front, effectively, at least in out of possession, was defensively secure. I was just looking at the data, 0.49 expected goals for City. I can't imagine that they've, in too many games this season, they've produced that little. And so from that perspective, from the defensive side of things, it worked really well for United. I guess I was interested in the fact that United actually created 13 shots against City. When was the last time we did that? I reckon it was probably a while ago. And, those transitional phases, as everyone has found out this season, were quite successful against City. Not successfully enough because we don't have a striker who can fucking score, but quite successful. I mean, 13 shots is not bad against this City side. So
No, I think in the last 20 minutes or 30 minutes, there was only one team that was going to win that. I thought that was Man United, actually.
yeah, fair enough.
So that's on the main pod, but let's try and explore it a little bit more in more tactical detail. That when you look at that game, right, is it enough to say, well, actually, if United had better players in two of the front three positions, they would have won that game, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think you're wrong there.
Is it enough to say that, or do we still need to be seeing more anyway?
From them, yeah, both. I think we need to. I'd like to see more from the attackers on the pitch, not more as in try harder or more as in run faster, more as in.
Oh, it's not effort.
No, it's decision making. This decision making is really, really bad. And commonly, what's happened now for 2 games is the player that can catch defenses out because he's quick and he can run in behind and because he can get into very advantageous positions. Whenever he gets the ball, he dribbles too much. He takes a shot when he doesn't need to, or he ignores a very good overlapping run. That part I just don't really get. If you take a shot after dribbling past someone and it's blocked, or he saves it, or you shoot it over the bar, and you can see that your fullback is making an overlapping run on the next play, and you know for a fact that this system complements fullbacks massively, right? They're the ones that get the ball and cut it back. If you miss the first one, shouldn't you be at least sending him the ball on the second time? Fair enough. One or 2 times you could be like, all right, fine, I'll take a shot because I thought that's how I play. The twice, the third, the fourth, I can't really excuse that. So we're going to have to fix that. Surely Amorim or someone is in his ear telling him in the next few weeks, listen, mate. And I don't want to be harsh on it because I hate being harsh on any United players because they get it in the arse a lot. But surely someone has got to be telling him he's doing an overlapping run. Go ahead and play him in.
Yeah, I mean, you're subtweeting Alejandro Garnacho there, but I mean, it is a very noticeable part of the last 2 games where Patrick Dorgu makes the overlapping run. This is very typical of Amorim ball, isn't it? Like overload with the wide number 10 and the wing back, create the overload for the cutback for the third man run to score. And this isn't quite working because Alejandro Garnacho and Patrick Dorgu don't appear to be in sync just yet. Yeah. And that was a lot of commentary after the game in social media as well. A lot of criticism of Dorgu and Garnacho because of that, because it's not quite working, the execution part when they're getting into good positions. So this is what we're talking about, right? If Garnacho's decision-making is a little better in the final third because we got into those good positions, he picks out Dorgu at the right times or cuts inside and shoots in the right times, and Dorgu's able to find the pass. He wasn't. And it's still 0-0. But look, I was just looking, 8 shots inside the box United had. That's good. Like, I know we're critical of United's forward play, but you know, given all these criticisms, they still managed to work it into the box 8 times to shoot. Now, I think 4 of those were Garnacho getting inside and shooting, so there's something in this. But yeah. All right. One of the other things you brought up, Dharnish, was Casimiro's role, because he's now back in the team and in favour and starting every game and playing 90 minutes when Dorgu's pulled off. So what have we changed here about Casimiro's role?
I think he's just had more games. That's it. Like, he's just had more games and he looks like he knows what he's doing a little bit more. He's not, when we see him less, we see him scampering back a lot less, and we see his positioning's better and his timing's a lot better. Like, when he was really influential in that first season, when he was like one of the best players in the league, I think for the first 30 odd games or whatever, it wasn't, he always just knew where to stand or where to be. Just by him standing in the right place and his anticipation, I think improves him a lot. It's not a secret that whenever Casemiro plays well, United are all of a sudden a more of a solid team. There has been solid form recently. I don't care what people say about we're still 13th. It's still not good enough. I don't give a crap about people doing a 3 or 4 minute rant about Man United, even though they were the team that were likely going to be winners in the last 30 minutes because there's nothing else to talk about because the league's done. The form has definitely improved. the performances have definitely improved. We've played Man City, who are 5th in the league. We played Nottingham Forest, who are 3rd in the league. Could have won both games. You could argue that in both games, United were the only teams trying to win. And Casimiro's been a big part of that. I feel his anticipation's better. His positioning is a lot better. I will say as well, his forward passing it's something. Like it does open up gaps when it works. It's just I feel like he flings the ball and we'll move 50 yards forward and it will go to an attacker and you go, hey, that's great. Or he'll just kick out of play. But it's getting better as well because you just by having that intent, it makes a world of a difference.
28 accurate passes out of 38. So yeah, he's a bit.
But it's always been like that with him.
It's always been like that.
One of the things we're complaining about is not enough risk taking.
Yeah.
So we can't then complain when someone takes risks because that's the thing. It's the risk taking passing that will usually get you to the point where you might create something. Otherwise, it just becomes lateral and slow.
Yeah. Yeah, Van Gaal-esque. Yeah, which we don't want. Yeah.
Did you see Onana was in the papers today talking about this? About how he'll continue doing boring passes.
Oh. Well, that's not good.
Find it. Onana will not speed up passing to placate fans. That's the headline. And then he goes... And it's like, well, you might not speed up your passing to placate the fans, but will you at least like speed up not tossing in ludicrous goals? I would feel personally very placated if you did that.
Well, he didn't do it against City, so that was a bonus. Yeah. No, that's right. I mean, Onana's passing out of the back and the build-up. I mean, I thought the build-up was pretty good in this game, if we want to talk about that a little bit. I mean, Onana didn't take too many risks with the passing, but we saw particularly Lenny Yoro moving out of defence and bringing the ball into midfield areas. Feels like he's more confident, or is that instruction? Not sure, either, both. But the build-up against City, I mean, given it is City, and like in the past at least, their high press has been extremely aggressive and we've had trouble with that. It was pretty effective yesterday.
Yeah, now they're crap. We are finding it easier to play.
Finally, yeah. Yeah. Jolly good. Good in-depth tactical analysis. Yeah.
But I felt like our balance wasn't bad either. Sort of defending in 4-1-4-1 is hard to get through. But then we were kind of trying to build the play, doing a little bit more building through the middle as well, I thought, particularly through Yoro, because he's someone that you've got that can pass through the lines. The lift can't really do it. Maguire can sort of do it, but it tends to be a little bit slow. And I find that Maguire's passes, what he's looking to do, he's generally looking to sort of clip passes to the touchlines, which I think is one way of doing it. I don't think it's really the way that Amorim would want to do it. It doesn't feel like the way that good teams do it. What you're seeing from Yoro is those, in the passes that you sometimes see from Martinez on the odd occasion he's available, is those more like hard, fast, quick passes that break lines but do it centrally. Whereas the passes that kind of go wide, they take a while to get there. They're in the air. The opposition have time to see where they're going. And those passes generally are not killer passes. Whereas the passes over shorter distances that are played harder and flatter tend to be the passes that sort of change the nature of what the play is doing at that moment.
Yeah, it's an interesting piece of analysis whether Maguire's passing actually contributes to United's expected threat or not. Because I suspect you're right that a lot of his passing does go to the fullbacks and then it comes back again. That is a challenge. I mean, it's one of the challenges of United's midfield where you get two players who, in Ugarte and Casimiro, don't necessarily want to have the ball with their back to goal and turn. No, and Bruno definitely doesn't when he's in there.
I hope that's one thing that'll improve when Mino comes in. But it's the passes to the touchline from Maguire. I feel like he's being told to do that, and it is good that he does that because we do need to release the fullbacks a lot. I just feel like we haven't really seen it enough. That the ball from like the middle centre back from Maguire wide to the fullbacks, that's where the space is as well in the system. So I would rather have him in to do that.
I guess the challenge is if he clips the ball wide to Diego Dallo, does Dallo have a man with him on the wide right player. In this case,
He
it's
keeps
Bruno,
commonly-
in order to then progress the ball rather than just going straight back to the keeper, which happened a lot.
He commonly doesn't, or it'll be one of the left or the right fullbacks, depending on which side he's closer to. That will be free, just because the other team is sort of focused on clogging the middle. So that is normally the pass that's on, especially if one of them are really pushed high next to the attack. So it's something to look out for. It feels like there's lots still going on for Man United, and there's lots still to look at from now until the end of the season. Performances have improved, but I want them to keep improving, especially against the opponents coming up. I really, really want to beat Newcastle or get a result against them. I feel like that's a really good marker of knowing how good this team is, because Forest is like, okay, you were away. I thought they played quite well. Okay, they didn't score, but their final third sucks. And it's Forest, they're going to always be in the low block. Nuno said as well after the game, he said we were on the ropes. City aren't nearly as good anymore, and they're building a new team. It's still good that we got a result against them. Newcastle, though, one of the most informed teams in the league and in England right now. They've got absolutely bully boys in midfield. Go there, don't get bullied, and see if you can get a result. That's in 2 weeks, I believe.
Yeah. One thing we should touch on before we get on to Lyon, Ronald Rasmus Højlund, just 15 touches in this game. You wonder what the point is, honestly, with a player that gets 15 touches. Like, would this be different if we say, we're talking about Newcastle, if Alexander Isak was in this team, would he be getting 30 or 40 touches and 6 shots and scoring a goal? Would that is to Daniel's point from earlier, would just that be enough? Like,
Isak, if we had him, would make a massive difference.
Yeah. Well, Isak he's
a better footballer than Højlund.
But Isak's one of the best strikers in the world, so I don't. Yeah, he'd make any team better.
Yeah. Okay, but what I'm asking is a tactical question, right? He's a great forward who both holds the ball up and is a good finisher and has pace behind, right? All the things that we thought we might get from Højlund and haven't, right? So does that in itself make enough of a difference, or is there a tactical switch that we have to make in the final third to actually start converting some of these chances so that 13 shots produce more than like 0.1 XG, like better chance creation? Anyway, all right, I'll leave that one out.
We definitely need better delivery. Like, the wingbacks are essential in the system. I was going to say they're central. I don't know if wingbacks can be central, but
it's
a lot of the chance creation should come from the wingbacks. And at the moment, the quality isn't there. We're hoping that Dorgu is going to get better at this, and the understanding will get better. Dallo isn't going to get better at this because he is what he is now, and it isn't good enough. And that on that side, we need another player. But I think I was really disappointed in Højlund yesterday, because I felt like in the previous games, even Forest, although he didn't get much of the ball, I felt watching him off the ball, his runs were better. He was looking to run in behind. He was looking to do the right things. And I kind of was wondering if the penny had dropped. But yesterday was back to more of this just anonymity, fighting with centre-backs, whatever it was. But it needs... So it can... As the understanding improves, we should score more goals. I mean, we can't really score too many fewer goals ultimately. Because obviously, as you said, we did have a lot of shots, but there was no moment where I felt like you've got to score.
Yeah.
I mean, if Dorgu takes a better touch in the first half, then he probably he would have scored. But apart from that, we didn't create anything where you felt that this was an opportunity from which someone should score, rather than maybe you might get something from this.
The Xerxes chance was all right, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, it's probably still a 0.2 XG chance, isn't it? So, all right, we have Lyon on Thursday. Paulo Fonseca is the coach there. I mean, I don't think any of us watch an awful lot of League 1, do we? But he's an interesting character, was banned for several months for trying to fight a referee, which I'm always there for. Like, we need more characters in managerial positions. Not quite doing a Mourinho and tweaking some guy's nose, which he did the other week, which was fun. as well. So, Dharnish, tell us about Paulo Fonseca. What sort of system does he normally produce?
It's normally one where it's quite fun attacking wise, especially his side at Roma was really fun, but they do concede a lot of goals. I don't imagine that they'll play in the same way against Man United though. And then he tried to go to Milan, which was like the biggest job that he's got. Didn't really work out for him because he was benching a lot of the stars and fell out with them very quickly. And then his possession work out without the ball was very poor. He was trying to do a high press. Milan were very bad at possession. They still are now. I don't think they've changed.
Is that still because of him?
No, but as in they've got a very similar situation, AC Milan, to the ones that Man United have, where they've got a manager in mid-season or after Christmas, and they're like, "Well, just go solve all the crap that happened from before." And you go, "No," because most of it is because of the guy that isn't here anymore. But regardless, I don't think that this Lyon side will play in the same way. I think they'll play more counter-attacking football.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like they play a 4-2-3-1, pretty standard. Some notable names to Lacazette up front, still scoring goals. Got 11 this season, unbelievably. Tolisso, the French player who was at Bayern for a while, almost had a decent career, then didn't. Maitland-Niles, former Arsenal player, is there. And Nemanja Matic is in the squad, who I totally forgot about.
He's scoring, isn't he? He's scoring.
I don't know whether he's fit or not, but we'll see whether he plays. So I don't think he played at the weekend. But yeah, some familiar names there. Although, I mean, like, not to be too reductive about this, if they're the best players, this really shouldn't be. This should be a side that a decent United side should beat.
Yeah, I mean, over 2 legs, it should be doable. But if Cherki has a good game, particularly in the first leg, I guess, then it will be a problem. Because if you look at the players we've got who are going to be in his area, Casimiro. I mean, there's only a few times Casimiro is going to get away with booting him, and Ugarte. And I feel like it's getting to the point where we're defending quite well, as in, we conceded 1 goal against Forest, and that was the only chance. And it was barely, I'm not sure you call that a chance, a counter. And you can't blame our defenders for that necessarily. You blame people that ended up in defensive positions. Arsenal conceded 1 goal. City conceded no goals. We are starting, and it's not like those situations under Ole when we seem to concede quite a few goals, but every game could have conceded 17. Just went through a phase of not conceding goals because that was how the ball bounced on those occasions. It feels like there's a structure to it, and we're seeing repeated game after game after game where they're doing enough of the right things so that they're not constantly looking like they're about to toss one in.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, under Erik ten Hag, there was that series of games where we were conceding 20 chances a game. That's not happening anymore. The defensive stuff seems pretty solid. I guess the question for this game is, does he go with basically the same back 7 that he went with against City at Old
Back
Trafford?
7? You ain't wrong.
Well, yeah, I mean, basically it's 5 at the back and 2 sitting in front, right? So, and look, it's not like they're not multifunctional, but that is, some level of security that United are trying to bring. Do we assume that we're going to get basically, I mean, injuries aside, Maguire limped off. Is he fit? De Ligt doesn't look like he'll be fit. But let's assume it's basically the same. And then the questions are in attacking areas, or do we think we're better than this Lyon side and so therefore takes more of a risk and moves Bruno back into central midfield? Dharnish, thoughts? Casemiro and Ugarte and Bruno?
It'll change in the second half anyway, depending on the situation. Yeah. He scored a hat-trick against Sociedad. Sorry, I don't want to say Sociedad. Against Real Sociedad in the second leg. Playing from central midfield, playing from deep central midfield. Yeah, probably Ugarte and Casemiro away. And Bruno, Xerxes, Garnacho, and the back 5. I think, is probably the best against Lyon. Just get you don't want to leave Lyon 1-0 down. I don't think. Just get out of there with a professional performance. Really, they've got some tough players. It's not a straightforward job away in Europe anywhere.
No,
they've got some tough players. Don't go get in there, get out. Don't embarrass yourselves.
That feels like a tagline for the whole club at the moment. Don't embarrass yourselves.
That's for my life. Get in, get out. Don't embarrass yourself.
It's things are improving.
I'm trying. I promise.
Things are improving
in all phases of life. Yeah. Dharnish, you're on a flight this evening. Are you off to Lyon?
No, I'm going to Madrid tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm having to go to Edinburgh for it. It's annoying. There's no good flights out there at the minute. So
hang on, you're flying to Edinburgh to go to Madrid?
No, I'm getting a train to Edinburgh to fly to Madrid.
Bloody hell!
Why do people think it's a 2.5 hour train? What do you do on a train? That's awful. Yeah. Nothing. You just sit there.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Fly backwards to go forwards, the usual thing. Yeah. Well, that'll be fun.
Yeah, I mean, watching Arsenal lose to Madrid will be more fun.
Yes. Do we all right, this is not a tactics question, but English teams in Europe, do you support them or not? Because I almost
not really
do, except United. Yeah.
Oh, not
we don't care about that, right? No.
I mean, as a kid, I remember wanting Dundee United.
That was a debate in the 80s, wasn't it?
Why?
I wanted Dundee United to win the UEFA Cup in '87. I guess because they felt non-objectionable.
Dundee United, yeah, sure, that was great. Yeah. Dharnish is too young to remember that one, but that was a remarkable run.
I wasn't even alive.
You weren't even. Jesus Christ!
What year was that?
87.
Nope,
87.
Not alive.
But they get to the semis. They get to the semis in '85, and they get cheated basically out of it by Roma. And so there was a point that season when it looked like all the European finals, I think, might be all English. It doesn't work out like that, and ends up with Heysel in the end. But they get cheated out the semi-finals by Roma. But I mean, it's amazing, really. Dundee United and Europe getting to European finals. It doesn't feel like that's something that's going to happen again.
No, I mean it's partly it's a consolidation of finances into the big leagues across Europe, and all the smaller leagues are struggling to develop any kind of TV contracts and money as a result. And then those smaller leagues have been completely distorted, whereby the one or maybe two teams that make it into the Champions League, or one in the case of Scotland, the money they get from the Champions League, Celtic, will be vastly more than any other team in Scotland makes as their total revenue. So,
Rangers might win the Europa League. Rangers might do as well when they win the Europa League.
Yeah. That'd be fun. They managed to beat us in Bilbao. Yeah.
I mean, United actually played Dundee United in Europe in '84.
Yeah,
I think I mean, it's a shame the way that happened. I mean, even as early as when the Champions League started and English clubs weren't allowed in, Rangers get to the way that they did it. I think the first season was there were two groups, and it was just the winners of the final.
Yeah,
and they knew they get picked by Marseille, but I think they draw in Marseille. Gary McSwiggan is the hero, and they get quite close to making that first final. Rangers, but
yeah. And that was a fairly corrupt Marseille side as well, if you remember.
Because what happened was Graham Souness goes, and they give him a whole load of money, and he buys Chris Woods and Terry Butcher and Mark Haitley. And the English players are happy to go there because they get paid and they get to play in Europe. Trevor Steven. There was a point where Trevor Steven was playing for Rangers and was the highest paid player in the British Isles.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Things have changed. Yeah. And it would not be a surprise. I mean, there's ongoing discussions between the Dutch and the Belgian leagues about some kind of merger. It may be like self-interest may get in the way, but they're trying to create a bigger league to generate more money through the TV contract. And there was talk over the years of an Atlantic League of some kind, including Scotland, or the perennial discussion about Rangers and Celtic making it into the English leagues for exactly this reason. All right, we've gone well off topic there. But Dharnish, enjoy Madrid.
Thank you. See you after Lyon.
Come on, United.
Yeah, biggest
We
game of the
need
season.
this badly. I don't know about you guys, but I have my application in for tickets for Bilbao. I will have to convince the wife that I'm allowed to go if I should be lucky in the lottery.
We'll have to get my application.
I mean,
wow.
I've done it.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
thanks for telling me. I wouldn't have known.
Go apply. Yeah.
I will do, yeah.
All right. Oh, don't apply too much because I want the tickets, not you guys. Yeah. Off you go. All right. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Oh, we're telling all these dickheads to apply.
Yeah.
I thought we finished.
Yeah, we don't broadcast this. This doesn't go out anywhere. Don't worry. Yeah, no one listens. All right. Bye now.
Take care.